soon as possible. As soon as we finish, you go back and you do it, okay? Perfect. Then let's start. Edu, you can start recording right now. And let's start in order as I see you. So, Edu, can you tell me a little bit about how you used the scientific method to propose the experiments?
Yes. Okay, so the first step of the scientific method is to observe. So then we observe like the problem. We started thinking about it, that that detergents often aren't biodegradable and that we need to find alternatives. So then we did like the question, and how can we solve this problem? How can we search for alternatives? And then we started researching. We researched how do detergents and soaps work, what are their differences and their main characteristics. So then we could start like the planification of the experiment.
What type of stains did you use for your experiments?
We used two. We used grease stains and moth stains, so we could see how did the detergents work with both of them.
Can you tell me how detergents work to remove grease stains, for example?
Yes, and so first we followed the the, the instructions of each detergent. And for example,
But what I mean is, chemically speaking, how does the detergent work to remove the stain?
yes, look, for example, the biodegradables have like a surfactants, and they allow to break to different phases, so they can collect like the grease and leave like the water. And
And
they,
what, yes, what did you learn from the experiments you did?
I learned like the basic components of detergents, how they work, and what are like the best options to use.
In terms of the environment, did it change your mind of what you knew initially on how we should be taking care of the environment?
Yes, yes, because it is important to use biodegradable things that don't affect the planet and that can be reincorporated easily into nature.
Can you think of any actions that actually help tackle this problem that you described on your project?
Yes, like for example, changing to biodegradable detergents and making laws in order to regulate this and to maybe ban components that are harmful to the environment.
Perfect. Thank you, Edu. That's all. Let's go with Hannah now. Hannah, I'm gonna share with you the poster you guys made for me. And my first question would be here, you've got the results of the experimental data. Do you think that was the best way to present whatever your findings were on the experiments?
I think yes, because like we put how they work in each stain, as we can see the grease and the mold. And also in the video, like you can see the process of each experiment.
And in terms of the data, do you think this is enough to come to a conclusion on which one cleans better, which was your initial idea?
Yes, because like we all try to see with the different types of detergent. Yes, because we try to see the different types of detergents, and like each detergent works different. For example, like in the mass one, in the grease, it didn't clean completely the grease stain, but with the mud, we could see that the mud stain disappeared.
Now, I see here that in your original work, you presented results differently. You actually have the pictures that compare the tests. And why did you decide to change it on the poster?
We put it on the conclusion that that was our experimental error, like testing with two different types of clothes, let's say.
Why do
And
you think that affects the experiment? How can the fact that you're using different colors and different types of cloth affect your results?
oh, because like they are made from different properties. So like if we try this detergent, maybe it can have a different result. So maybe trying the experiment with only one cloth, I mean, maybe cotton, we can actually see if it really works or not.
Now, in terms of analyzing what you did as a team, what do you consider could be improved?
Mm, maybe, as you said, how we register the data, and also doing it with only one type of clothes.
Now, in terms of risks and benefits from the project, what would you say were your ups and downs?
The ups and downs.
Like, what advantages and disadvantages do you see from carrying out the project?
Okay. I think the first advantage that we learn the difference between non-biodegradable detergents and biodegradable. And with that, we could see like this alternative of cleaning agents, because now we need to save the environment. So this biodegradable detergent is a good alternative. And maybe a disadvantage, I don't know, that we could see that all the like detergents we use are like harmful for the environment.
Good. Thank you, Hannah. Now let's go with Dani. Dani, what safety measures did you use while experimenting?
We basically use the lab coat. We use gloves. We use also glasses in some options because the water could like drop. And also we use the oh my gosh, I forgot the word. The we use our hair tied up in order not to drop like something, and also no shorts or sandals.
Why do you think it's important to follow safety measures when you're experimenting?
I think that it's important first because of our own security and not to damage our body, first of all. And second, I think that maybe if you don't use the necessary equipment, you could like kind of contamine the variable and the experiments you're doing, so it could change the results.
Thank you. Now, in terms of the experiment, why do you think it is important to consider sustainability and ethics when you are designing a project from scratch like you did?
Well, first of all, because we only have one Earth, and at the end of the day, we need to start taking care of it in every aspect of our daily life. So if you make an experiment to see if something is sustainable, but you make it really polluting the earth, it's like very counterproductive. So it's important to always take into consideration that it's the only earth you have and it's the only place you're gonna live in.
Do you consider that you were sustainable throughout the development of the project?
I think yes, because one of the things we actually discussed while designing the experiment was that if we were only gonna wash three clothes, it was really useless of a really disposal of water if you made it in the washing machine. If you were not going to throw all the amount of clothes, so that's why we wash it in hand. So I think we really took like the measures to make it the most sustainable possible.
So after this, what type of actions do you think you will follow so as to like put into practice what you learned from the project?
I think first of all, using the biodegradable detergent instead of the other ones, trying to change it so we stop polluting so much in earth. Also, I think learning about all of this really puts a perspective. So, for example, now that I go to the, well, when I can go to the supermarket, you're not gonna choose one that's non-biodegradable. And also, while washing clothes, you can like measure if it's really worth it washing everything in a washing machine, or if you can just waste less water while washing it at hand.
Good. Thank you, Danny. Now let's go with Richie. Um, do you think it's easy for a common person that evidently doesn't have the knowledge you now guys have to choose something that it's both effective and biodegradable?
Well, I think it's not always easy because sometimes we don't read the little letters that contain the things that we use normally. So it's very important to take in account that harming the planet is something that really affects us as a society. So I don't think it's always easy to people.
Now, from the consumer perspective, what actions can be done from the companies so that people are better informed in terms of what you just described?
Well, I think companies would include like a clearer way to show people what their products have. I don't know, like the food nowadays, food contains these stamps that says if it has high sodium or not. So companies should have a clearer way to explain to us like if it's, for example, biodegradable or non-biodegradable for the people.
Now, you used, for what I'm seeing, Ariel, Más Color, and Roma.
Yeah.
In terms of content, what chemicals were present in the different detergents, and how do you know if it's biodegradable or not?
Well, I think it was in the Ariel or in the mass, I'm not sure, but it contained ammonium So this chemical is very harmful, especially for plants, uh, because it's not an organic chemical. So the Roma, which is biodegradable, didn't have this chemical. So it is basically composed by carbon and I think potassium. So they are like healthier for the environment.
Thank you. Now, in terms of the design, what experimental errors did you find and how did you solve them as a team?
Well, the communication we had was really good. I think we were always talking together and having feedback of our errors. And some of the experimental errors we had were like we didn't specify which kind of clothes we were using. This was on part two, I think. And on the final part of the experiment, now we specified that we used the cotton and polyester clothes. And basically, I think that's it. We like specified in the third part all that we used.
Perfect. Thank you, Richie. That's all. Now, Ash, um, what would you have done differently from the procedure?
I would have done the procedure in with more time in the pre-wash because we only left it, I think, 5 minutes. So the clothes still had a bit of the stain impregnate, and I would have left it for approximately 10 minutes in order for the stain to remove a little bit more. And in my case, I didn't use gloves because I couldn't find ones. Well, the ones that I have, my mom uses them for the dishes, and let she didn't let me use those for the clothes. So I would have bought another pair of gloves in order to not to harm my skin. And I believe that's it because in our procedure we really got good results. We were able to remove these things completely.
Now, the instructions were to perform two different tests that would each show certain property from the detergents. Do you think that what you did was enough to evaluate two different properties?
Yes, because you don't need the same ingredients to remove mud stain and to remove grease. They have different properties. Grease is more difficult than mud. So by doing these two separate experiments, one with only mud and one with grease, we were able to see which detergents were more effective. For example, for the mud detergent, it didn't have the strongest ingredients, so it wasn't able to remove grease, while the other two of them actually had all the ingredients needed to all the stains completely.
Chemically speaking, what is different from removing grease and mud?
Grease, it impregnates more. It, it attaches more to the cloth, while mud, it is more like superficial. Its particles are easier to separate and to attach to the detergent than grease.
Thank you. And finally, what advantages and disadvantages do you see from using biodegradable detergents?
The biodegradable detergent that we use, it also bleaches the cloth, so that is one advantage. Apart from the fact that it doesn't pollute the environment as much as non-biodegradable, they don't they don't um,
leave toxins to the air. They don't pollute water that much. So we can take care of our environment, and they are cheaper. Also, the aroma detergent was cheaper than the other two non-biodegradable.
Good, thank you. Now, Edu, you can stop the recording.